All caffeined up? All good? Great, awesome. I'm going to try and keep the energy a little bit high because I work at Google, so just please bear with me with that. Back when I was in college about 15 years ago, I had a lecturer who said that his job wasn't to entertain me. So I put up my hand immediately and told him his job was to entertain me, that the textbook was much more concise and much more specific than he was. So I got into a fight with him, but I got an A in the class, so swings and roundabouts and all that. That's me, as you can tell. I'm a strategic agency manager at Google, so we're a pretty small team. What we do is we work with our top key partners across the UK and Ireland, so the top percentile of agencies, one of which is C3, so thank you so much for inviting me here today. And what we do is we work with them on obviously what's happening now, but really future-proofing, so what's happening in 2 to 3 years' time and how they can basically cascade that down to all of their wonderful clients as well. When Frankie Claire invited me to speak today, what I wanted to do was to present on something that's on everyone's mind. So thank you for joining us in this room. And that's Google, or AI, but specifically Google AI. So what is AI? AI is a really good movie from 2001 with Jude Law. It's quality. It's a tearjerker. I had an argument with Rosa from next door about whether it's a kid's film or not. I thought it was. But actually, it's just the next step in a kind of current revolution. It's a very wide topic. So although it is a really good film from 2001, it can also be very useful for marketers. When we looked back at kind of the first couple of stages, so the lovely lads over at CERN made the internet, where we connected and shared information between everyone. Then we had the age of mobile, and it was the year of mobile for perhaps 5 years, 6 years from a Google perspective. If anyone remembers back that far. And that was about how you can kind of get those demand, I want to know moments. So like, if I asked everyone in the audience to take out your phone and share your last 5 Google searches with the person sitting beside you, I don't know how many people actually would. But you can if you'd like. And AI is the next shift on that. But why am I talking about AI now and not talking about it 3 or 4 or 5 years ago? It's because of the acceleration in AI more than anything, and it's because of the use of tools which is like generative AI. So as I said, we've been an AI first company since 2016. That's a really long time. We've been developing products and looking at pioneering research since all the way back then. Some of the stuff we actually take for granted. So most of it's actually developed in London, here in the UK, by our DeepMind team. Everything like traffic on maps, that all uses AI. It uses machine learning mostly, which is just a subset. It's a folder down into the AI kind of world. But what I wanted to talk about today is how we're reimagining all our core products with Google AI in particular. So there's 3 examples. Everything in Google comes in 3, so you'll see that repeated 3 times during this presentation. I wanted to show you 3 examples of what we've been doing in terms of the Google Workspace. So these are products that are going to be releasing this year. So we only started talking about it last week, so it's hot off the press for you guys. One is help me to organize. So in your Google Sheets, which I think most people are aware of and have used before, you can use AI to generate me a list or a task list or an inventory of anything just by entering in a couple of words, and it'll shoot that out. Help me to visualize. We've all tried to look for that very specific image that we wanted to adorn a presentation slide, and we've scrolled for far too long on Google Images or Pinterest or whatever the case may be. Now you can use that directly within Google Slides as well. And for anyone who writes in colloquialisms like myself, there's also new additions to our mailing app. So help me to write in terms of, hey, can you formalize this request that we have? Because all of my messages are like texts. Now, what's the most important thing? Okay, how can Google AI help you as marketers? Because I was chatting to the guys who was like, who exactly is going to be in the room? And I was speaking to a couple of businesses earlier on today. It was marketers, it was growth leaders, it was business owners, it was people who are looking at the future of their business and helping to sustain it. So rather than just talk about general AI, what I want to do is focus in on how we can help you. We've been working with AI in terms of marketers and helping them to achieve their goals since 2015. So the year before we became an AI first company, when we started our universal app campaigns. Basically, with C3, we've been working with them as soon as they were set up, talking to them about this. They're blue in the face of me talking to them about AI. As I said before, we're trying to predict what's going to be demanded 2 to 3 to 4 years' time, and we help our key partners to share and get used to that. 80% of our advertisers at Google globally are actually already using an AI product in their marketing. And that's a stat that kind of shocks people, because they go, oh, AI, let's use it. How cool, we can add it to our business. You probably already are, especially if you're working with one of our great partners. But what I wanted to do was to show you a couple of the different things that we're going to be releasing this year, along with our increased generative AI. So again, in threes, customer connections, creative, and confidence. So customer connections. We've seen a dichotomy, two sides of the same coin happening in the last few years, especially post-COVID, when I hate the word digital natives, because it's like, you're a digital native, you're not a digital native. After COVID, we're all bloody digital natives. Like, we're all kind of there at that level. Consumer journeys are now more complex than ever. And the reason for that is those things. And the 5 searches that you won't share to the partner sitting beside you, right? It's a get information and put it into my brain now. You see people going on for longer days looking for specific searches at weird times. At the same time, other side of that coin, the actual impulse purchases are actually going up as well. How is that happening? So when we talk about the messy middle, there's lots of different interactions that are happening, and those are increasing with the more devices that we have, and also the better interconnectivity we have. But from trigger to purchase can actually happen quite fast. And that creates a huge problem for marketers, right? Because we do not have unlimited marketing effort. Whether that is budget, obviously, right? But it's also time that you have to input into this to learn all of these different things, as well as staff to help to be able to produce any of that content and go from there. So how do we get the right message to the right consumer at the right time if we have all of this breadth of options, and we have this bigger, longer journey, but actually the purchasing time is getting shorter? AI-powered campaigns. Obviously. So AI-powered campaigns, the keyword is powered here. AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all the data that backs it up and our wonderful engineering teams produce is the fuel in the engine, right? It's the fuel in the engine of the car that you're building, your business, or whether it's the train or a bicycle, or whatever the case may be. We do not design the car, that's down to you and your individual businesses, but how can we help supercharge that through AI? One example that I like to give is a product that we actually launched in 2021, I believe, don't quote me on that. It's called Performance Max, right? And it's the first time that Google has released a product that is self-explanatory, like it does exactly what it says on the tin, finally. And what it does, it looks across the breadth of the Google properties, right? Google has 8 properties with over 1 billion users each, loads. 16 properties with over 500 million people, loads. So how can you reach all those touch points at the right time? One of the ways is Performance Max. And what that is about being willing to be agile across the different properties and to reach that right consumer at the right time, and to not reach consumers if it's the wrong time, right? Everyone kind of forgets about that. It's about staying out of those 99% of spaces and hitting the right one. One example could be, I was chatting to a furniture company earlier on, and they were telling me that they've 3 stores in the greater Manchester area, but they've loads around the rest of the UK. And one example that I said on Performance Max is Google Maps, right? If someone was searching for new furniture, and then they were going to Google Maps to look in, oh, what's the directions to my kids' tennis club or whatever it is, or where they need to go for their next birthday party. If your store is nearby, that's probably the right time to have your little ad appear on Google Maps if your store is open, right? That's AI powered. However, if your store is closed, that's the wrong time to have it on Google Maps. Maybe the better time is when they're scrolling their phone, 10:30 at night, and they're looking up recipes for tomorrow, and you can show them a visual ad in that format. Or perhaps when they search in something that might be IKEA or a competitor-based query, that's the right time to serve to that user. And that's what Performance Max does. Now, with the changes of AI, and the reason I'm talking about it now again is what we're doing on our back end to increase the performance. You can look up some great stats from the guys over at OpenAPI who released ChatGPT, wonderful company. But they were looking at the increase, the power increase of machine learning at the back end was doubling every 4 months, right? Which is nuts. So when we released Performance Max with consumers in 2021, they were getting about 13% more conversions. So conversion for most people is a sale or a lead, but it can be any action. at the same cost. So 13 more for the same cost. That's gone up to 18% now because we're getting better at doing the things on the underlying back end. But along with that, and this is where I have to really thank our key partners. So the guys at C3, they gave feedback to our teams directly, our engineering team. The guys who developed this are based in Zurich. They flew them over to Dublin. The guys are at Dublin. Gave them some feedback that says, great, you're helping us drive performance. However, we use other insights from these campaigns to drive other things for the company. So what key brands are people looking for? Or how do I develop an out-of-home campaign? What insights can you give it to us? And the number one request from our agency partners was to put insights on Performance Max in Google Ads. And that's what we're releasing in July. So a couple of days' time. Thanks for that, lads. The other one is search ads. So obviously we're talking about a broader net that's happening right here, right now. And you can cast that net wider because we can use AI to pick which ones are worth going after. But brands are really important, right? And maintaining your brand and maintaining your brand security is really important. So we've also included brand controls, and that comes from direct feedback from the guys as well. So I know for like pharmaceuticals, gambling, finance, those kind of guys, legal, it's really critical and important to have those brand controls in there from a legal perspective. So thanks. And then the third, again, this is everything's in threes, is we're releasing later in this year automatically created assets. So we've been doing this for donkey's years with the teams. However, we can adjust things. So say if someone looks for skincare products, but maybe they have sensitive skin like myself, and they type sensitive skin care products, then what you can do is make sure that you're sharing an asset that addresses that user's query and that get information right here, right now. Right? It's about showing up the right message, the right time, at the right person, and staying away the ones that aren't. In terms of creative as well, we have another dichotomy. So in creative and how people interact with our video-based so YouTube, for example. So we're seeing on one side, there's an absolute huge explosion in mobile and shorts, and I'm sure people are watching it themselves. I'll be watching this on the plane to Dublin later, as well as people watching on TV. That's exploded. There's 150 million people in the US that now watch YouTube regularly on their TV, so once per week. But what a lot of people don't know, so that's how people kind of users interact with it. What a lot of people don't know is that 25% of the brands who are actually advertising on YouTube are using automatically generated assets. They're not going out, make a big, huge, fancy ad and spending loads of money on it. They're using what they already have through AI in order to drive value for their business. Now, it can be YouTube specifically, or it can be part of that Performance Max wider bubble, whatever you're reaching there. There's two little tools that I want to show to you here today that are releasing this year. So in Q3, and the second one is in Q4 fully. First is a YouTube creative tool. So looking at restocking or looking at the assets that you already have across your own websites. If you go to Google Images and type in site : and your own website, you'll see all the images that you have on the website. And they're ready to be used in any of these assets as well. Also, if you do have any TV or larger content that you do want to shorten or get it into the right kind of aspect ratio, we have free tools that are available to do that as well. And the benefits are pretty obvious, right? We all kind of get it, but from a number perspective, again, I'm a Googler, there's 32% increase in clicks for those offers that are matching with good creative assets. What I wanted to say here was you don't need to go out, reinvent a wheel, spend loads of money. You can if you like, don't mind. But creating a really big, beautiful ad when actually a lot of the time you have the assets available to you already, right? How can we just use them in a better format? All right, third one, confidence, right? So AI starts first with you. The most important thing with AI and to get the most out of Google AI is focusing on having a really secure, really privacy safe, and really nailed down measurement solution, right? Because if you can feed quality data into Google AI, you get the absolute most out of it. With the regulatory changes, with the format changes, and with the technological changes on browsers, etc., you might think that insights are harder to come by than they ever were. But actually, we're releasing a lot of tools that kind of showcase the opposite to that, right? So you've got Google Analytics 4 Audience Builder. You've got the Insights Finder, which is externally available as well as better conversion modeling for any of those conversions that may have been lost before. So making sure you have an absolutely nailed-on measurement strategy as you go forward, that's what's key. And this is what we were talking to the lads about 2 years ago, and what we've been working on with them across all their clients. One example, again, is the improved search terms insights, as I mentioned, for Performance Max. Oh, I meant to mention the improved search terms now. And the other thing I was going to talk about Performance Max before, is about 2 new formats of Performance Max that are launching. So I gave you the insights that we're doing. But what I wanted to tell you was we're also developing new products that are releasing this year on Performance Max. 2 of them. One is new customer acquisition. I worked with a makeup company, they were selling lipsticks, and they said if someone buys a lipstick from them once in store, they will buy on average 7.1 times for them afterwards online. So new customer acquisition, particularly in store, was vital for them. So Performance Max, we're releasing that as a campaign type. You might have a different return on ad spend or cost per acquisition for someone who's brand new. And then the opposite side of that is maybe you have people who haven't paid attention to you in a while and you want to get them back in to make sure that they're interacting with your brand. We're also releasing that as a new tool on Performance Max as well as the insights. Sorry, I messed that one up. Google Analytics 4 Audience Builder as well, so we're modeling out audiences. And in terms of getting that, as I said before, okay, the fuel in the engine of Google AI is the best data that you can give it. Your first-party data that you gather through your Google Analytics 4, we're making sure that we can bring that directly in to Google Ads and make sure that it's useful. Because the key thing with data is, okay, from a data perspective, can you get from data to an insight? Wonderful. But from an insight to an action, that's where gold is made, right? So we're integrating that with our Google Ads, and you can bring in a couple of modeled audiences, which we're now releasing with Google Analytics 4. So who is likely to churn in the next 7 days, or who's likely to purchase in the next 7 days, and you just give them a little nudge over the edge as they go along. And then the final piece is with customer match and enhanced conversion. So with changes to browsers, etc., generating lists, everything that you're doing on the back end in terms of your own customer data, it's a one-click tool that's releasing later this year as well to make sure that we're helping you as much as possible. So the critical point is you're not competing with AI, you're competing with marketers who are using AI. That's the key thing. You're probably all already using it in certain spaces. My request from my side is to think open, to praise yourself for what you're doing already, right? But to think open, to think about what's happening next and how you can take advantage of it in order to improve your business, to grow jobs, to keep jobs, to improve efficiency. This is probably a time where you might want to take out your phone and take a snapshot. I asked if the deck's been sent, I don't know. But I put on this absolutely miserable slide of here's what I would do in terms of checklist. The reason I did this is because of, the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve, where you start to forget pretty much an hour after you see something, everything. So by the end of the day, and you have drinks at 5 to 6, this will all be gone. This is supposed to be your little reminder that kind of goes from there. So in terms of the little contents that I would definitely recommend. So similar to a little festival that's happening down in Somerset currently, there's an open field, right? There's an open field of opportunity. There's amazing customers that you can reach. And I would really recommend making sure that you are, one, aware of what you're already doing within the machine learning and AI space, but then embracing what is coming next as well. And with that, I'll hand over to Claire.